love, survival podcast. Where pain becomes purpose, no fear, no remorse. Through the pain, through the fire, through the worst of my day, I found purpose in the breaking. Survival isn't a whisper. Oh, if you listen, you survive. Still breathing, still alive. God never wastes the hurting. Every chapter had a rolling time.
Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival.
From pain comes purpose. No fear, no remorse. Survival isn't a whisper. Through the worst of my day. And the breaker isn't no whisper.
Hello, everyone. This is Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Here's where we turn pain into purpose, because survival isn't a whisper, it's a roar. And before we get started, there's a few things I need from you. The first thing is, will you please go in, like, share, and subscribe to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast? Secondly, where are you tuning in from? I'm here in Aiken, South Carolina. Put in the comment box below where you're tuning in from. Are you following me on all of my social media platforms? If not, please do so at Gail Estella. And lastly, Through It All by Gail Estella. Have you purchased your copy yet? If you haven't, it's not too late. You can go to TrueVinePublishingCompany.org, Amazon.com, or anywhere books are sold. My guest for tonight, Miss Michelle Massoni. I met this young lady maybe a year ago. We were both in a training to get certified to become a peer support specialist. And her spirit, it was so captivating, and her smile. And we clicked, and she told her story, and I listened to her story during the class, and I just saw how brave she was and how courageous she was to be able to share her story and to be so transparent with a room full of people that she didn't even know. So she's here tonight, and she's going to share her story, and I just want you to see how brave she is, how courageous she is, how bold she is, and I just love her, love her, love her. Here she is. Michelle?
Hi, how are you?
How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, Gail. How are you?
I am doing well. And thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Your story, you've gone through so many more things than the average person has gone through. Some people might not have survived experiencing one or two of the things that you've survived, but yet you're still here and you're giving back. And before we go into your story, you are now a certified peer support specialist, and you're working in the field. How is that for you?
I will say it's very challenging, but it's extremely therapeutic. It's probably one of the most fulfilling roles that I've ever had, but it can be difficult some days. It can be very triggering. You deal with people that are coming in who are experiencing active addiction, and you have to help them navigate their emotional state during the time. So it is a difficult job, but it is fulfilling, and it gives me a lot of purpose.
It gives you a lot of purpose and fulfillment. And we're going to come back to some of the things that you talked about as far as the triggering and the fulfillment that you're receiving from it, okay?
Okay.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to the little girl, Michelle. Tell us about who she was and some of the things that she experienced as a kid.
Okay, so currently I live in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. I was the youngest of three girls. I was raised in a two-parent household with my mother and father, but my mom wasn't really present. She worked a lot, and my dad took care of us. We didn't really know when we were younger that my dad was mentally ill. He was very physically abusive to us. He would beat us quite often. He would make scenarios so that he could injure us. He was very
Let me interject. What do you mean by make scenarios that he could abuse you?
Give us unrealistic time frames. Like he would go in and destroy our room and say, well, you have to have all this cleaned up before your mom gets home or I'm going to beat you. And it was always impossible to get done. So he would make scenarios where he, I guess, would feel justified in hurting us. And he was a fairly large man. My father is full-blooded Italian. He was a big, tall man. You know, he wore a lot of rings. He was very heavy set, and he was scary to a young girl. But to me, he was just my dad. And growing up, I thought that this was normal, but I knew it wasn't. You know, as an adult now, I try to think back of like the first time I ever prayed to God. And the first prayer I ever remember praying was, God, I just want a normal family. And I didn't realize how odd that was until I grew up and realized that other kids weren't experiencing this.
You said your father was a large man. It was you and your sister, correct?
I have two sisters. So I have a sister that's 3 years older than me and a sister that's 3 years older than her. So I was the baby of the family.
Okay. How old were you at the time? What was the age span?
The physical abuse happened probably from about, the earliest I can really remember is 5 till about 8.
Whew. And first, let me say I'm sorry that you had to endure the abuse.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Just listening to what you're saying now, I'm just imagining what it is that you might have been feeling. So what were some of the feelings a little 5-year-old girl or you felt at that time when you knew that the abuse was beginning to happen?
When it was first going on, it was like punishment. So he would line us all up, and he had this really thick leather belt, and he would beat us in front of each other, and he would make us wait while he hit each other and make us watch. And that was a sense of terror that built up. Like, what is he going to do to me when he gets to me? And then there was instances when it was one-on-one abuse. I remember a young girl supposedly punched my sister in the nose on the bus. My sister's older than me, and the girl was in my class. And she went and told my dad about it. And he came home and said, you didn't defend your sister. And I remember him taking my head and just slamming it into the wall. And at that time, I could have been maybe like 5. I was in kindergarten, and I didn't really understand how I was supposed to defend my bigger sister. And it was something that didn't even happen. The girl was lying. And it was just this sheer terror of never knowing when he was going to be mentally unstable, not being able to get to my mom because she was never there. We'd wake up, she'd be gone. We'd go to bed and she'd be gone. We didn't really have a lot of money. We had like those fold out cots that we slept on the floor. Mm-hmm. I remember we didn't really have a lot of food. I would go to my aunt's house and dig through her garbage to find leftovers. And it was just a lot of insecurity, a lot of food insecurity, a lot of not feeling protected by the people that were supposed to protect me. And then overnight, it just changed. We moved to South Carolina.
Let me
mom.
Stop you. Okay, let me stop you. I want to interject again. You talked about the food insecurities and not the people that were supposed to protect you didn't protect you. You are the third person that I've interviewed this month that have basically said the same thing, that their parents were supposed to be the one to protect them, and they didn't. Was there anyone, you say you would go to your aunts, was there anyone, an adult in your life that you felt safe enough or comfortable enough to share what was going on? Maybe your teacher at school? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you need to take a break?
I'm just going to grab some tissue real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
That'll happen quite a bit, but I should be okay. Sometimes the memories just get a little
I understand. Yeah, because I know what I'm feeling, so I can only I can only imagine what it is that you're feeling. Was there an adult in your life that you could trust enough to be honest with, or you felt safe enough to be honest with?
So in Florida, we lived around my dad's whole family. That's where they were from. My grandmother lived up the street. I never felt really connected to her. I always felt like she didn't really like me. I don't know why I felt that way, but even up until she passed, we were never really close. We didn't really have a connection, but my older sisters had one with her. I don't really know what that was about. My aunts, we would go to their houses and spend time with them, but this may be like a similar thing with the African American community and the Italian community. We didn't talk about things.
Yes.
We didn't talk about mental health. We didn't talk about abuse. What happened in your house stayed in your house. Don't bring outsiders in. Deal with whatever it is. And because my father was mentally ill, the entire family knew it, but he was shunned. Like, they would take us all the time, probably because they knew that he was mentally unstable, but they were never going to interject. They didn't have high favor for my mother. My mom and my dad got married very early. She got pregnant when she was 15 with my sister. They got married at 15. My dad was going into pro baseball at the time, and he gave that up to marry my mom. So there was a lot of resentment from my father, a lot of resentment from his family, and they never really felt like my mom was good enough for him, and they never had any relationship with her. And I think some of that came out on us. They said they loved us, but my aunts I knew did, but my grandmother, I never felt that connection with her. I would never think to say anything to my school. I mean, my dad used to come with us to field day, and we would get kicked out of field day because he would be taking his shirt off, flicking off little kids. My dad ended up going to prison when I was younger for beating up a little Hispanic boy in the neighborhood. Like, there were signs and there were things that were going on, but it just felt like we were just forgotten or overlooked. So no, I never spoke to anybody. I did later on, and that didn't go well.
It didn't go well. Why do you think it is that, and it's still as prevalent today when we talk about mental illnesses? I think it's a little better than it used to be.
Yeah.
But it's still the same that no one wants to address that there's an issue. And we see it, and we see what happens to people when they're experiencing, the mental illness, or we see how they engage with others or their actions from the mental illness. But we still sit back and we observe, and a lot of times we still don't do anything about it, even when children are involved.
I think a lot of it, one, is misinformation. When you look at television, movies, you see the way that people that suffer with mental illness are portrayed. It's very inaccurate. Then you have, instances of society saying, well, if we say that it's real, then we have to admit there's a problem that we're not ready to take care of. A lot of it is stigmatization.
Yes.
if if you don't talk about it, it's not there, right?
Yeah.
But we are there. We are in the background. We are struggling. And that's a big part of what I advocate for now. Destigmatizing, using destigmatizing language. When you call somebody crazy, or, you know, trying to equate regular behavior with behavior that is someone that's mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so OCD. But these people really have conditions. You know, and it took me a really long time before I found out I had a mental health disorder. And then it all started to make sense for me.
Mm. And we're going to go back to that part as well. I want to go back one more time to you and your sisters. Did the three of you ever talk about what was happening to you? Or did you ever tell your mom?
It sounds weird, and even when I talk to my husband about it, he says it doesn't make sense that you guys weren't close. We're not close. We didn't talk within the family. Growing up in our house was strange, you know, because my father suffered from schizophrenia, which is what we found out his condition was later on. We were very pulled away from society. The blinds were always shut. We were always locked in the house. We weren't allowed to have friends. We weren't allowed to go out because the world was unsafe. There was people watching us. It was always this fear that he had instilled in us, but there was an additional fear on top of that of him. So not only is the world a scary place, but here in this place where this person's protecting us from the world, they're the ones that are giving us fear too. So no, we're not. We weren't close then, and we're not now.
Yeah. Did you love your father?
Yes. I was a daddy's girl.
You were a daddy's girl.
I look just like my father.
Say that. Yes, you do.
I look just like my father.
And this is safe to say with most types of abuse, the person or the victim that's being abused just wants the abuse to stop because they do love the person.
I think for me, I just didn't understand why.
Okay. Wow.
And I wanted to understand why he would do that to me. I was his baby.
Yes.
So I knew there was something wrong. Mm-hmm. Even in my little mind, I knew like, this isn't what normal people do. And when I say I love him, that doesn't mean I didn't hate him. I hated him, but I loved him too.
So hate and love can coexist?
For me, it did.
Yeah, I believe it can too. I believe it can too. Just like happiness and grief can coexist. I believe it can. Your mom, did your mother know? Did you ever tell your mom what was going on?
When it was happening, I was still very young. Okay. So like I said, it was odd because, you know, I went from never seeing my mom to, and I guess you have to understand the dynamic of why things changed. You know, my mom was working at Publix in Florida, and she was offered a better job position to open a Publix here in South Carolina, and that's why we ended up here. And when we moved here, my dad got on her insurance and started seeing a doctor, and immediately, night and day, like that, the abuse stopped. No more physical abuse, no more anything, and it was very odd. And I didn't still see my mom, you know, and then on my 11th birthday, we were sitting down, and every year, you know, my dad lets us pick what we want to eat, and ribs is like my favorite thing. And I said, I want to have barbecue ribs. And my dad would cook. My dad was a chef. He loved to cook and he loved to bake. He always made these extravagant birthday cakes for us. And I said, well, I want to sit at the head of the table. And he had just bought this beautiful, like, Ashley furniture, cherry wood table, dinette set. And he was like, no, she can't sit at the head of the table. She's going to make a mess. And all I remember my mom saying is, Tommy, let her sit there. And he said, GD Rusty. My mom's name's Rosella. GD Rusty. And he backhanded her because she said God doesn't have anything to do with it. And he backhanded her, and then blood splattered all over the table. And in that moment, because I'd never seen my mom experience domestic violence. I didn't know that she was going through this too. So this happened. We rushed her to the hospital. My dad dropped us off and he took off with my other sister. And we sat there in the ER for my birthday, and they had to do reconstructive surgery. All of this in her face had to be put up with plastic. So now she has plastic holding up her cheekbones and her nose. And she bit the tip of her tongue off, busted both the blood vessels in her eyes. Like I said, he was a big man. He wore a lot of gold rings and just backhanding her. You know, that happened. And I remember talking to my mom after the fact, and I was like, Mom, like, we were going through this with Dad, you know? And she said, I thought that it was just me. I thought I was taking the abuse because he was beating me all the time. So she didn't know. She thought she was protecting us by letting him abuse her.
Yes.
And I was like, well, no, this was happening, and we didn't know this was happening to you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The little girl at her birthday party wanted to sit at the head of the table because I'm the queen for the day. It's my birthday. Did you take in any of that guilt or take on any of that? Did you feel guilty because your mom was abused that day? Did you feel that was your fault?
Yes, and I still do, because after that day, my family never celebrated my birthday again.
Oh.
And we still don't. The day goes, I don't hear from my family. It's like, to me, it's like I don't exist. If we don't acknowledge it. They say that's not what it is, but it just stopped. Like, it was never important. Another important day. So yeah, I did. I still do.
Do you call them on their birthdays?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call them on my birthday, because if I don't, then that's it.
And do they say happy birthday to you then?
If they answer.
Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. So how does one, where you are now, learn to move forward despite of it? Because it's obvious that it still causes you a lot of pain, and that is very, very understandable. But how do you move forward from that?
For a long time, I didn't. It was drugs, self-medicating. First, it was cocaine around 11, weed, hanging out with my friends. And then I was with a man for about 10 years that I dated, and he used to smoke crack. And he introduced me to that, and it deteriorated him, and I didn't want really anything to do with it. And then he was sick anyway. He had end-stage renal disease, and, you know, I didn't want to leave him while he was sick, so I stayed with him for 10 years. And when I finally decided to leave, 4 months later, he died from a stroke from smoking crack cocaine. And during that time, you know, I was so lost and hurt that I met the man that I was with now, and I fell in love with him, and, you know, we're married now. And if it wasn't for him, I say if it wasn't for him, but I did go downhill when my ex passed, because it was very traumatic for me. I spent a third of my life with this person, and I started doing everything. I started shooting up heroin, started snorting fentanyl, started smoking meth on a regular basis, and that went on for about 4 years. And it didn't seem to be a problem. You know, I was running a business that me and my husband created, Alexa
You're still
Shaw.
functioning.
Yeah, I was going to college. I was making straight A's, and I wasn't spending anybody's money. I wasn't stealing from anybody. I was working. So I was functioning, and I wasn't hurting, but I was hurting somebody around me. The same thing that my ex did to me, begging me, you know, please stop, please don't do this. I was doing that to him.
To your husband. So when you said that you were still working, you were going to school, basically, like we said, you were functioning. Does that make it feel that it's okay? I don't have a problem? And at what point did you realize that, yes, this is a problem?
It was a problem, but not as big of a problem as I made it not to be. To me, because I was funding my own habit, I was doing my own thing. How could this affect you as much as you say it did? You know, in my past relationship, the problem was he was stealing my money. He was being abusive to me. So that was the problem. And I was like, well, I'm not hurting this person. I'm not physically abusive. I'm making my own money. What is what I'm doing affecting you? I'm helping heal my heart. You know, the only way I know how is to numb the pain. But he loved me. That was the difference. And he felt like he was going to lose me. So that pain, you know, it started to manifest into anger. And it was causing a lot of arguments. And the fights were getting worse. And it got to the point where it was like, if you don't do something, and it wasn't necessarily about the substance use, he knew that I was struggling mentally. I was crying all the time. This was even before the loss of my ex, you know, on a regular day, maybe 15 to 20 times, just bawling, crying, calling my mom, like, what's going on? She's begging me, you need to get some help. And I'm like, help for what? What am I doing wrong? And just everything in life was just bombarding me. And he was like, if you don't get some mental health help, I can't do this anymore. And I made the decision to leave him. And I moved in with my mom and my sister. And I really went downhill at that point. Started smoking meth and crack together, you know, hanging out in seedy hotels with prostitutes, because those were people that weren't judging me. They were my friends.
Yes.
And these ladies are still my friends. Like, I have no ill will towards anybody and their life choices. I've always been so open to other people because I felt judged so much. And it was always the outcasts that I could hang out with. They weren't judging me, so I wasn't judging them. They're in there selling their body, and I'm in there smoking crack, and I'm not bothering them, and they're not bothering me.
Let's talk about life choices. Because I've often heard people say that you don't judge a person until you've walked into their shoes, because you don't ever know what they've experienced, what they've gone through, and we don't know their whys. How much more empathy and sympathy do you feel people would have on people with mental illnesses, people with substance use disorders, if they knew some of their backstory, if they knew some of their whys?
I think things would change drastically. I think that's why peer support is needed, because we are people that have lived a path of that life. You can go to a clinician. I went to therapy. I went to intensive dialectic behavior therapy after I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which comes from early childhood trauma. When your brain is developing, your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex, which is your impulse control, your decision-making parts of your brain are stunted. And I will have this condition forever. And I had to go to dialectic behavior therapy to help me learn how to navigate life again. And I say this because I'm still in weekly therapy. I go to a therapist once a week. And there's a difference in having a clinician sitting across from you and a person with lived experience sitting across from you. And I am a peer support specialist, but I'm also saying this as somebody that is studying and pursuing her graduate degree in clinical mental health now, because I'm also somebody with lived mental health experience. And I feel in some aspect, I would be able to bring a different set of skills to the table when it comes to the mental health sector. I know what it's like to watch somebody suffer with mental illness. I know what it's like to be somebody living with mental illness.
You talked about one pathway as far as peer support specialists. And as far as a peer support specialist, you meet people where they are in encouragement, mentorship, and shared experiences. So your past use of or uses of substances qualifies you as your past experiences, and you're meeting people where they are. So that means you're not judging them.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. And then we have Narcotics Anonymous. I went through NA, whereas it's very structured. NA talks about, or they advocate for abstinence, and no mood, mind, or altering drugs are allowed. That's all I know. And then we have the peer support specialist. Then we have the harm reduction therapy. And when we were in class, I definitely didn't understand this one when we watched the film, and it said that people actually go into areas where people are using drugs and, give out needles to them so they can have clean needles to shoot up. And in my mind, I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, but it could help save someone's life because everybody isn't there yet to stop using.
Right.
And then there's faith-based organizations where it's basically, built upon faith in God. So when choosing a pathway, and I know it's an individual choice, because when I came through, there weren't so many pathways. And then you also talked about the clinicians. There's also therapy. Yeah, different types of therapies as well. Do you feel there's one better than the other, better than another, or is that a broad statement to make? Or do you feel that it's up to the individual to choose what works best for them?
I think it's up to the individual to choose what's best for them. So I've had the pleasure of gaining employment with the organization that did our peer support training, which is the Courage Center. And the Courage Center believes in multiple pathways. And what that is basically is whatever you choose, we're going to stand beside you. If you come in and you have a problem smoking crack cocaine, but smoking weed helps you, we have no problem with what you're doing. We are not, let me go back. We do not know what's best for your recovery. It's up to you to decide what's best for you. And in doing that, we give people back their autonomy. We allow people to make decisions that are best for them. When you start making decisions for other people, then it's easy to go back and say, well, that wasn't my decision. I didn't want to do things that way. And it gives people a way to revert back to behavior that may not be conducive to their recovery.
Yes.
If you allow people the ability to make decisions for themselves and let them navigate it in the way that they see fit, the success rate for their rehabilitation is significantly higher.
Okay.
So with the Courage Center, not only do we honor that autonomy, we also practice harm reduction. While we don't give out free needles, I don't think that there are a lot of places that actually do that down here in the South. That may be an up north thing. I know that there may not be safe use sites down here either. What we do offer is we give out free Narcan, naloxone. We give out harm reduction kits, which include free clean cotton swabs, clean water, xylazine and fentanyl testing strips, Band-Aids, clean cookers, things of that nature, because it's not our decision. We know that people are still going to use. If you're going to use, at least use in a way where you're not using dirty supplies.
Yes, and you're protecting yourself.
Right.
When you're talking about that, I'm thinking about providing condoms to a teenager.
Right.
We, most time we know they're going to use, we know they're going to have sex, even though we may not want them to. So at least by providing the condom, they're being protected.
Right. Safety first, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's what it's about. We see people that are dying from sepsis. My adopted sister, Kristen, She was my older sister's best friend, and her mother was an IV user who introduced her to IV use very early because she didn't want to use alone. And she ended up becoming ill in her 20s with liver disease, and she chose to be DNR, which is do not resuscitate,
Right. Mm-hmm.
because of her liver disease. But she was still actively using crack cocaine, and she was an intravenous user. She actually had a bout of sepsis, and she was unresponsive, and when the ambulance got there, they didn't resuscitate her, and she ended up passing from sepsis. And that's the reality of it. Like, we can prevent certain things. We may not be able to prevent substance use disorder or alcohol use disorder or opioid use disorder, but we can prevent people dying from sepsis from not using clean needles. We can prevent people from having open wounds. You know, we can prevent or at least decrease the amount of hepatitis C transmission or HIV transmission when we're taking the precautions to give these individuals who are suffering clean use.
That makes a lot of sense. And going through the course and the training, I understood it better, because in the beginning, I'm like, no, if you're putting anything mind and mood altered in your body, you're still using. And I have a different perspective on that now. I don't always know if I agree, but it's not for me to agree upon, but I respect it, if that makes sense or not.
Well, even somebody like me who is a certified peer support specialist, because I'm certified under the Addiction Professionals of South Carolina, I don't agree with everything because I am my own individual. That doesn't mean that I'm going to prevent you.
Yes.
And that I'm not saying what I do or do not agree with. Whatever is best for you, I'm going to stand beside you, walk alongside you on your journey, because that's what my role is. It's about being your peer. I'm not above you. I'm beside you. And I'm here to let you know that there is a way out, because I found the way out. And as long as you want to walk along this journey, I'll walk with you, and I'll show you how to get to that light too.
Yes. And you said something earlier about sometimes your role or your position can be triggering. So let's talk about that.
It's a reality of having substance use disorder. You know, I have now reached close to 21 months of sobriety.
Congratulations.
And thank you. There are still times that I have dreams about using. There are still instances of individuals coming into my office in full-blown active use or currently intoxicated, and that can stir up emotions for me. I would be lying if I said it didn't bring up memories, because it does. But the ability to be able to navigate through those memories and emotions in order to help the person in front of me, that's what gives me the power. I'm able to navigate that. I don't always know how to, and that's where I refer to my site supervisor, Dr. Pamela M. That's when I refer to my other peer support specialists in my office. We utilize each other's services. We are not perfectly in sobriety. We are still navigating, and I tell my participants on a regular basis, you don't realize that you're helping me as much as I'm helping you, because you're helping me maintain something that you think I already have all figured out.
Yes.
I don't have it all figured out just because I'm on the other side of this table. I'm just working it every day. It only takes an instance to revert back.
Right. One thought, one action. Yeah, we linger too much on one thought, and then you find yourself back. What do you do to maintain your sobriety? Because you just said sometimes your clients help you, or your patients. Would you consider patients clients?
We refer to them as participants.
Participants, okay. Your participants help you. But what does Michelle do on a daily basis to help maintain her sobriety?
A lot of my maintenance now is about continuing therapy. So I go to my therapist once a week. I also maintain my medications. So, you know, that's a big part of my sobriety, spending time with my loved ones. I would like to say the medication is the most important part. You know, even though I'm someone that struggled with substances, I have severe anxiety now, and I am prescribed benzodiazepines, but I am very vigilant about taking it as needed, not more than needed, you know, and I have to be conscientious and mindful every day of what I'm doing because I am taking controlled substances. Yes. So I have to be able to navigate my emotions properly. And a lot of times I don't know how by myself. I journal. Like I said, spending time with my husband, schoolwork. I spend a lot of time online. I honestly don't get a lot of me time. You know, I am in a salary position, so my day doesn't stop at 5. And sometimes, most of the time, addiction doesn't stop at 5 p.m. for people either. So I answer my phone late at night many times, and I'm talking people off of their own cliffs. And I think having purpose allows me to stay in my sobriety, feeling needed, you know, with great power and great responsibility. Those go hand in hand. I am now responsible for other people succeeding. And if I am not who I need to be, then how can I help them become who I know that they can be?
Mm-hmm. Is that a big weight to carry?
It's a big weight to carry, but it's a blessing that God has bestowed upon my life. You know, I pray to God every day, and I always ask him in my prayers. I said, God, speak through me, utilize me as a tool to reach others. So I've asked for this burden. And I don't want to call it a burden because to me it's not. I've asked for this blessing. I've done a lot of horrible things in my life, you know, things that I don't want to talk about, but illegal things. I've hurt a lot of people, and I want to do something good. I was blessed to still be here. There's a lot of my friends that are dead. Yeah. There's a lot of people that aren't here anymore. And what gives me purpose is continuing to live for the people that I love that aren't here anymore because they don't have that life. So I'm trying to achieve things. I'm trying to help as many people as I can while I'm here because I'm trying to make amends for some of the things that I've done wrong. And if that means getting other people to overcome substance use disorder, then that is the blessing that I've asked God to put on my life. So yeah, I mean, it's heavy, but the beauty of it is that certified peer support specialists are a big conglomerate now. They're becoming more and more popular. They're becoming more and more needed because mental health and substance use sector is seeing how successful we are. Mm-hmm. And we are a family. I talk to many people even outside of my organization. I've made so many friends going to the governor's opioid summit, you know, going to all these different trainings and meeting other people like me, getting to be with my people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a different type of connection, seeing all these success stories. That's why I do what I do at school. That's what I do with work. And I make it a point to talk to my participants like, hey, I've been there, but look what I'm doing now. You can do this too if this is what you want to do. There is no limit to what you can do. And that's where my nonprofit comes in at. You know,
and we're going to talk about that as well. I can remember the first time I went to a world convention in NA, and it was so many people, so many different people, so many races, so many cultures. And I was in awe because I thought about, all of these people had a substance abuse disorder as well. So it wasn't like it was just me or people that looked like me, different socioeconomic backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we try to hold participants to a certain race. We try to hold them to a certain social economical background. And that's not the case. It is non-biased. It affects everybody, or it can affect everybody.
Mm-hmm. And then you go to these things and you realize I'm not alone.
Yes.
These people
We can
know what I've
survive.
been through.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And you're not ashamed to tell your story in those
Yes,
areas,
amongst your peers. Yes. Mm-hmm.
For the
Amongst the
first
group.
time, you're proud to tell about your trials and tests that you went through because they become your testimony, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear other people share and you're like, man, I never would have thought that. And then you share and people are like, man, I never would have thought that about you. And it's surprising to see so many people successful. You know, I've had to get over this imposter syndrome
Yes.
that I've been experiencing because I just started my work with the Courage Center in November. I did the peer support training with you last year in March, but I didn't start with them until November. And these past, I'd say, 5 months now, extreme imposter syndrome. I'm not meant to be here. How do these people think that I'm going to do this job? Can I do this job? You know, and then I see the success of getting people into recovery. And I see people coming to me and saying, oh, Miss Michelle, I couldn't have done it without you. And I'm like, baby, it wasn't me, it was you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's still surreal to me because I'm walking into buildings and in front of people that I never felt qualified to be in front of before.
Tables that you never thought you'd be sitting at.
And God has said, baby, you are qualified. I have given you the qualifications and a name of certification. I gave you the life experience. I have given you the walk. And you walk the walk, and baby, now you can talk that talk.
Yeah.
You know, and I get to share that with people and say, hey, you're not alone. I'm here with you now, and we're going to get through this together, and you can do anything that you want to do, and I'm going to make sure you can achieve anything that you want to achieve.
So what I hear is acceptance. Just acceptance, non-judgmental, love, respect. And those adjectives are some of the things that during our active addiction, we did not receive.
Even outside of it.
From family nor society at all.
Even outside of it, I didn't really receive it.
Some family, excuse me.
Even outside of active addiction, even when I was able to maintain my sobriety, I have really no connection with my family. I don't get any support. You know, I'm first generation college student. Nobody in my family even graduated high school. And I graduated in October of last year, cum laude, with my bachelor's in psychology. And now I'm going on to my graduate studies now at Walden University, clinical mental health, trauma, and crisis counseling. And I do have the desire to be a licensed professional counselor and one day be a doctor of psychology. And these are my dreams. And I don't get anybody saying, I'm proud of you, I believe in you, because a lot of it is I want my mom to say, hey, you're doing it, baby. And, you know, you made it out. And a lot of it, like I said, you know, families don't talk about things. So nobody wants to go to counseling in my family. Nobody wants to address the problem. And I'm tired of living held back by my past.
Yes.
And if I don't let go of my past, I cannot move forward into my future. And if that means not bringing my family along with me, and if that means building my own family with my husband and the people that love and support me, then I'm coming to terms with that slowly. It's still something I struggle with, and it still hurts, you know, but I am making a new way for myself. Whether they want to believe it or not, I am changing the trajectory of our family name. I am breaking chains and barriers, and I am doing good things with my life.
And it might not be them that's recognizing it, but it may be a niece or nephew that's watching you as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember I was listening to a motivational speech yesterday, Eric Thomas, and he was basically saying some of the same things. It's time to stop expecting other people to make you feel good about yourself. It's time to stop expecting people to lift you up or to praise you. First God, then yourself. We're responsible for ourselves. And that's what I'm hearing from you. You have taken accountability for yourself, and you're achieving all the things that you might not have thought you were capable of achieving some years ago, or that you were deserving of achieving. And now you're there. And we're going to talk about two more things. First of all, the importance of taking medication. with
Yes.
any type of medication if you have an illness, because mental health is an illness. And you said once your father started taking his mental health medication, you saw a change in him. And then you said that was one of the biggest things that helps you with your sobriety today is taking your medication.
Yes.
Let's talk about the importance of taking medications when needed, when, again, so many people shun mental health and then they shun having to take medications even more. So let's talk about the importance of it and how the medications change the trajectory of your life.
In order to understand how it changed the trajectory of my life, I have to go back a little bit to how against it I was. Yes, I saw my dad start taking medication for his schizophrenia and it changed him, but then I saw him self-medicating and going downhill. My father ended up doing 9 years in prison for attempted murder on my mom and my sister. And after he was released from prison, he was self-medicating with alcohol and drugs, and he did not have access to his schizophrenia medication, which caused him to go downhill pretty fast, and it basically ended his life. I don't want to get into the specifics of that, but, his mental health co-occurring with substance use was his untimely demise. And for a long time, I was like, no, I don't want to take medication. What if I get on medication and I can't have it? And I experienced this, and it was really debilitating for me to finally accept that help. And when I did, with any type of mental health medication, we have to try this to see what works for you. And when I finally got on a mood stabilizer, because unfortunately, borderline personality disorder, there is no medication for BPD. It's only for the symptoms. So I take a mood stabilizer, and I finally have titrated up to the proper dosage. And I've been on that for about 3 years now. And it has drastically improved my well-being. I don't have mental health episodes as much anymore. I'm not going to say it never happens, but the crying episodes have stopped. The lashing out at people, the anger, a lot of those things have decreased, if not ceased completely. And it's extremely important. I advocate so heavily for taking mental health seriously, because most substance use disorder comes from underlying undiagnosed or misdiagnosed mental health conditions. And if you're not treating the underlying problem, you're not ever going to be able to treat the disease. That doesn't mean everybody that has substance use disorder has a mental health problem, but the high majority of people with substance use disorder do have co-occurring mental health disorders.
And what I'm hearing you saying is that it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely
you want
not.
people to know that you do not have to be ashamed.
There's no shame in it at all. Medication saved my life.
Yes.
It made me be able to be present. I am now able to have good conversations with my husband instead of yelling and screaming. I'm able to articulate myself. I'm able to be productive. I couldn't have a professional career before. I couldn't go and do this type of work. Absolutely not. I would have never been able to do that. And I was so scared, I think, in my mind, of being like my father. I don't want to end up like him. I'm not him. I'm not him. I don't want to be like him. I wanted to be nothing like him. So there's no way I could be mentally ill. I'm fine. And when I finally accepted the truth that I needed help, that there was something wrong, not necessarily wrong with me, but chemically imbalanced in my mind, that I needed just a little bit help to fix, my life has improved. I was able to stop using substances. And there was a short period of time there where I was doing both. But when I finally got into the therapy and I could talk to somebody about what I was going through, and I didn't have to mask those emotions anymore, and somebody was listening to me and it was letting me talk instead of always trying to give me some sort of answer for my problems. Just listen to me. Let me tell you what I'm going through. I don't need a resolution. I just need a safe place to get it out. And when I was given that, along with medication, and had a positive support system in my significant other, everything for me changed, and I was able to turn that pain into purpose and put that into other people around me.
And I saw something, you told me something, you said that you are flourishing now. You said your marriage is flourishing, your marriage is in a happy place, that you're happy.
I am, for the first time in a long time.
For the first time in a long time. How does your husband walk with you now, dance with you? Because can you remember they showed a film and it was two dancers. It might have been two boxers or two dancers, and they were going against each other. Mm-hmm. And at the end, they began to harmonize with each other, and they began to dance gracefully with each other. So is that what you feel your marriage is now? That now, since everything that you've gone through, the acceptance, the acknowledgement, doing something about it, do you feel that you and your husband are dancing gracefully with each other now?
Absolutely. Being able to have a normal conversation, being able to talk about how great things in my day have went instead of having to hide my substance use, being able to be looked at through his eyes with love and compassion versus somebody always looking at me disappointed. Those things made such a big difference for me. He sings love songs to me, and he, like I said, he's playing love songs now. I can hear him outside, and he plays those for me. And to have somebody, because I said, I was doing a lot of what I was doing for acceptance from my mom, to have somebody look at me and say, I'm so proud of you. Yes. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought you, Michelle, would have overcame all that and been sitting here being as successful as you are. I remember the first thing that I went to at the Courage Center, it was a gala. And he was like, I never thought I would be saying Michelle is going to a gala with a bunch of successful ladies.
Yes.
Yeah, and he said I went to leave and I was all dressed up, and he's like, you're dressed to the nines and you're going to a gala. He said, man, you're a different lady. He said, you're too good for me. I said, baby, I could never be too good for you, because at my worst, you were still my best.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Tell us about Tommy's Place.
So Tommy's Place is my dream, my planted seed as of right now. My father's name was Thomas, but they called him Tommy. And Tommy's Place is an acronym, so it's Together Overcoming Men's Mental Illness. And I wanted to focus on co-occurring mental health and substance use disorders for men, which is definitely an underserved sector when it comes to the mental health community. And I wanted to help those that are underinsured or uninsured find a place where they can come and talk about the things that they're going through and feel no stigmatization. It's in the beginning phases. I've talked to quite a few people in the CPSS sector that are interested in becoming board members. I have gone as far as to make the logo. I have a dream. I don't necessarily know how to get it off the ground yet. I know that I want to be on the clinician side of it. My best friend of 30 years, Shauna Lake, has agreed to be on the peer support side of it. And I also want to have a sector that comes off of it called the Hope House to help families of those that are survivors of people that committed suicide, because a lot of that pertains to what my father was going through. Yes. And I want to make sure that we are not only helping the individual, but helping the families of those that are suffering, because that is the most important thing. When we talk about peer support work, we talk about recovery capital. And when we're talking about recovery capital, we're talking about the people in your life that are around you, your immediate surroundings. can we build up what's around you to help you maintain your sobriety? And if you don't have those things, your success rate depletes drastically. So we want to make sure that the families are supported.
Yeah, that's very important because so many people have been ostracized. I am so blessed to have had a family that loved me and friends that loved me and supported me. They might have enabled me a little bit too long, but I knew it was because of love. Yeah, I knew it was because of love. And that is so important to have the family structure involved and the friends, like you said, the capital part of it. You've used the word co-occurring a couple of times. For the audience that may not know what that word means, will you tell us, please, or tell them?
Co-occurring, in a sense, is anything that comes into play side by side. Mm-hmm. So when we say co-occurring substance use disorder and mental health, that means when someone is experiencing two things at the same time. So if they're having a mental health crisis or having mental health disorder, and they're also having substance use disorder that's occurring at the same time, that's considered co-occurring.
Thank you. And pretty much like you said earlier, you loved your dad, but there were times you hated him as well.
Well, yeah, and I know it may be
would that be considered as co-occurring?
In a sense, yes. And it might be confusing to people to hear me say I want to create an organization in his honor. But, for me, I believe that if mental health would have been more destigmatized 15, 20 years ago, mm-hmm. that maybe I would have never experienced childhood trauma because mm-hmm. at the end of the day, when we finally diagnosed him, it never happened again. Yeah. And I just want families and individuals that are experiencing things to know that there's hope. Because I've experienced it, I lived it, I watched it happen, I watched somebody struggle with it, and I want people to know they're not alone. There are people out here that have lived it, lived through it, and made it out on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Did your father ever ask for forgiveness?
No.
Have you forgiven him?
I let it go.
You let it go. Is there a difference between forgiving and letting go?
I don't think a part of me can fully let go the pain, mm-hmm. but because I've been able to transform that pain into something meaningful, I am not angry about it anymore. I have removed myself from that bondage. I don't feel anything about it anymore. I feel free, and I'm still working through things, but it does not hold me in a cage anymore.
Yes.
I'm able to navigate it in a better, positive way. I think this is going to be a lifelong process for me. But also, all those things that happened to me, and there's so much that we didn't talk about, all those things had to happen to me exactly how they happened to me in order for me to be here sitting in front of you today, Gail, and advocating for what's important to me and being the person that I am. So I thank God for the good and the bad because it's character development, right?
Yes, it made you who you are today. Yes. I'm going to read something to you. For the first time in my life, I am happy with who I am, where I am, and who I'm becoming, and it feels good. Those are your words.
And it's true. It's true. I'm overjoyed with the woman that I'm becoming and still continuing to become because I have a long way to go on the dreams that I have ahead of me. But I am blessed and favored highly. And as long as God keeps bestowing on me to follow this journey, I will keep following it. He guides my steps, and all the glory to him to be able to overcome all of my tests so that I can put forth my testimony for others.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Michelle, I am so proud of you. And this is going to help so many people because you said the one thing, God, trusting God. Everything that you've gone through, it was for a purpose. And we never know why we go through some of the things that we have to endure, but we can turn it into our pain, into purpose. And you said something else about you're still growing, you're still evolving. And that lets me know that you're not there. We don't ever want to be there. You know, we can get to one place in life and transform to one thing, and then we want more. We need more, because as we grow, our needs grow. And as our needs grow, I would say we depend on God more. But I hear that you're continually growing because you already just laid out your plan. You know, when we talk about the SMART goals, you know, you've laid out your year plan, your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan. You've already laid it out. And you've also said that I don't know how I'm going to get there. But you know you're going to get there.
Yes, ma'am.
Courage House, those rooms that you're in, those people that you're sitting at the tables with, networking, talking, telling them your dreams, telling them your aspirations. They see you. They see you. So let them know the things that you're working on, because everything you need is in the community you already have. It's there.
Yes, ma'am.
It is.
And the Courage Center has been one of my biggest supporters. Mm-hmm. They have given me a new lease on life just in these past 5 months. I was the past 2 years unhoused. They've given me the ability to be financially stable. I, on the 1st of March, signed a lease on my 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. You know, I'm moving into a role that I'm able to help people, and the Courage Center is expanding. We just opened a location not that long ago in Aiken.
Yes, where I am. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm in the Orangeburg office. We opened about 2 years ago. We also have one located on Broad River and another one in Lexington on Park Road. So we have locations all over the state that are able to help people. And, you know, my information, I would love for that to be plugged in somewhere if anybody needs assistance. Yes. If you're not in my region and you are suffering with substance use disorder, mental health, anything, if you're unhoused, if you're unemployed, because we help people with all types of recovery. It's not just recovery from substance use disorder. You could be in recovery from anything that you're struggling with. And we want people to know that there are nonprofits out here, and our services are all free of charge. And we want to help anybody that is struggling and suffering, and we will help you the best we can to find the way out.
I love it. Go ahead and give the audience your information, whatever information you want to give them if they need to contact you. Go ahead and tell us how to contact you.
So I am at the Courage Center in Orangeburg. We're located at 950 Holly Street, Orangeburg, South Carolina, 29115. You can contact me directly on my cell phone. It's area code 803-682-2697. You can call me anytime, day or night, or you can text me and let me know that you need our services. You can walk in our office Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We also offer all recovery every Tuesday night between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m., and that's open to the public. Anybody that wants to get together with the recovery community can do so.
And walk in to be accepted for who they are. Yes. And where they are.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I have so enjoyed this. And I am so proud of you. Your story is so inspirational. It is so inspirational when you think about the little 5-year-old girl, what you experienced to where you are now. And it just lets us know it's not where we began. It's not where we start. It's not what happened in the household. It's what's inside of us. It's what's inside of us.
And I'm going to do something with that.
And what molds us to become the people that we're becoming. Yes. Oh, I love you, and thank you. I have one more question for you, and it has 3 answers, okay? This is the Gail Estella Survival I'm getting ready to say my hair salon. This is the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Tell the audience 3 things, Miss Michelle, that has helped you to survive.
3 things that have helped me survive in life. First and foremost, God. Believing in myself and having others believe in me. Thank you, and I hope to continue making you proud, Miss Gail.
Yes. Thank you. And I'll be seeing you soon. I'll be seeing you in May.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I look forward to it.
Yes, you have a good one, okay?
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.